So I do the same for my acknowledgement title, Ctrl E, looking good. If you are in your Microsoft document and you want to be able to view multiple pages as you work, you can just come over here to view, click on view, and then you can select either one page. If you select one page, it gives you just one page at a time. If you go back there, go back to view and select multiple pages, boom, it splits it to as many pages as you want to look at the same time. So depending on the situation, you can have a multiple page view. I like to have a multiple page view so I can have an overview of my work at every point in time. So what I do here, I want to move acknowledgement to the middle. I want to bring it down to the center. I don't want it to be up there because it's the only content here. So it's always nice to bring it to the middle if that's the only content per page. So I come here to acknowledgement. I just click up here, then go to page layout again, and then I come to before. I type in a figure. I put 60 points. And then I press enter. It shifts by 60 points. I can increase the points to maybe 100. Yeah, I prefer it this way, so it's 100. And if I feel like I want to increase the font of my acknowledgement, I can just increase it as I wish. And of course, if I feel like putting a space, because I see it's kind of choked up, I can also come to this point here, the first line, and then click before, put in maybe 20 points. Yeah, you see it shifted. Yeah, it's looking really neat now. I like it. Now the next thing is I come here to the introduction, and there's no particular order of doing your design. You just keep improving it and touching it up as the need arises to suit your taste. So I come to introduction, and then I go back to home and change it to heading 1, right? And then, okay, my heading 1 is still showing blue. I can come to acknowledgements, right? This one I already changed to heading 1. I can come to acknowledgement and then select, right click on heading 1, update heading 1 to match selection. So once I do that, anyone I select as heading 1 will just take up the exact format of the acknowledgement. And if I want to tweak it as I go along, it's also quite beautiful. So I make my introduction. By the time I click on the introduction now and click on heading 1, it matches that format. I do the same throughout chapter 1 and believer. So I like to do to label my chapter. In this book, I label the chapter 1, and then the title of the chapter as well. So I just select the two like this, and I click heading 1 as well. Right. So what I love to do is give it some style. So I change. You can still change even after you edit even after you select heading 1. It's already on heading 1, but I want my chapter 1 to be like book. I can still change the fonts and then reduce it. Right. It's looking better for me now. And then I can, so in the final book, what I did was bring in a an image of a Bible, right? I put it here like a JPG, so you can always like go to Google and download an image yourself. So I would just pick the one I already downloaded from the internet, a clip art. So this is the one I already downloaded earlier. Okay, just press enter first to create space for it, and then I drag my Bible out there. Boom. So I get to edit it as I want. I just drag the corners and bring it in here. I can also centralize it, reduce it. So I just click Ctrl E to centralize it now. This is coming out really good, and then I can just press enter and just size it up. Look at the overall view. So this format I can always reduce from here. Page layout, if 100 is too much, I reduce it to 50. I mean the format of this believer right here. I can the space between it and there, so I reduce it to 50. Okay, comes out really good. So this is my chapter 1. Right, I see chapter 1 Bible, the believer. I like it, and if I want to increase the font of the believer, I can still do that. If I want to reduce it, I can still do that. One thing I like to also do is justify my book, right? So if you can notice, the edges are not even on this sides. The edges are not even. So what I do is just select the whole document and justify it. So I press Ctrl J to justify it. So I just come to home and then come here, justify it, right? So it makes everything very straight. So if you notice, see the edges here, they're now very, very straight. The entire book is now straight, looking good and sharp. So I just go back to the other ones that I want to centralize and change it back to Ctrl E, right? So if you see, Ctrl E is for the center, Ctrl L is for left, Ctrl R is for right, right? So my book's already taking good shape. I can come back here, always go back and forth to see if anything has changed based on your formatting, right? If I want, I can also bring the Bible here, my clip art. So I can just come here, right click, copy, and then paste it right here. Right? Ctrl E, I centralize, space, and I come here, give it some space. I can actually just press enter and come to before and give it. I can actually press enter, but I realize that sometimes the computer just wants to have a greater control. If you press enter, the more enters you press, let me just make an example for you. If I press enter too much here and I go to my, you see that this my lines are too many here, so I like to minimize my use of the enter key, right? Just make it very, very sparing, very, very sparing. Okay, so I can remove the markers now. I call it markers. I don't know if it has a proper name. And so we're still back to chapter 1. I like the way my chapter 1 looks. I can come back again now to the body. So for me, because this is a scriptural book, it has a lot of biblical scriptures there. So I decide what shape I want my scripture to be. So I say that there's going to be a lot of scripture quotation. So this is John 8:31 to 32. I want to centralize it, Ctrl E, right, and then italics, Ctrl I.